Hey Dojo friends, we have a real special treat coming up in the next couple of weeks and perhaps even months. One of my students, a Nidan, Mathias Hilpert, is a student of Mugai Ryu. I have not studied Mugai Ryu, so I filmed some sessions with him and we're going to continue to. What a special treat that he brought this Iaido practice into our dojo. Now of course he's been with us over a decade, everyone loves him. He's been going to Japan and Germany to study Mugai Ryu. He's very serious about it. He knows he has a lot of work to do, but he was kind enough to bring it to our dojo to show us some of the technicalities and details of that particular style of sword drawing. Now, as you guys know, my style of Iaido and Kenjutsu is very different than Mugai Ryu. It's much more messy, less precise, more dynamic, but that does not mean that I didn't learn a ton from watching Mathias, and I'm going to learn a lot more. That's what makes this dojo so exciting, is we invite different teachers in to show us new things. We're always hungry for new types of learning. I want to always avoid the trap of having your dojo with the same boring people over the same decades, just doing the same thing over and over. It's so good to keep it fresh and new, and Mathias is perfect for that. This first quick video is just him talking about a little bit of the history and a little bit of the rei, the salutation that we do, and then he's going to go into some cuts in the next couple of weeks. So I hope that you stay tuned if you're a sword person or just interested in martial arts or learning in general. We're going to learn together a lot of cool new details on this beautiful art of Iaido and Kenjutsu. Make sure if you like videos like this that you subscribe to this channel and click the notification button or you're not going to get these videos. They're all free, but less than 55% of you that watch are subscribed to the channel. Every creator that I talk to in the martial arts is having trouble with their channels. YouTube is definitely suppressing these types of videos. So make sure that you get the word out there so that we can keep these arts alive. So here is video 1 in an upcoming series of Mathias Hilpert on Mugai Ryu.
Basically the school is Mugai-ryū, out of nothing school. It was founded in 1690, so a long time ago by, you always need to read that, Tsuchi Geta Sukemochi, actually 1693, so very old. It was one of the traditional samurai schools, done in many of the different areas in Japan, so I think there are like 5-6 famous samurai schools. It's one of them, which people used to train. Still around, has a history. They still do it in Japan. A lot of dojos across Japan, maybe in the different branches I explained, but that's okay. What I'm doing is really Mugai-ryū Meirin-ha. The dojo I'm training is in Germany, it's in Koblenz. It's called Kakushinkai, means heart of the crane. The stuff I'm showing, the fundamentals, I'll talk in a minute what I want to do in the next weeks. Kakushinkai. You will find what I'm showing on the video from my sensei. So what is Mugai-ryū consisting of? What I'm showing is really something completely different what we usually do here. It's Iaido. Iaido is very different. So Iaido is you do it by yourself against an imaginary opponent. There is a part of Mugai-ryū as well, which is called komitachi. Similar to what we're doing here, techniques with the boken against an opponent. It's part of the school. It comes usually at higher level. I did some of them in my last workshop. And there's another part which is Kenjutsu as well, which I wasn't trained yet. It's I think higher levels, but there's some Kenjutsu trainings as well. But the focus really, at least for the beginners up to Shodan, the main focus is Iaido. So Iaido is not, it's very different. So here we do like our techniques, and if you do a little bit deviations, not a big deal typically, like we call it sometimes purposely henka. We do it in a different way as long as you do the principle or the spirit of the technique. Here's very different. Details matter. Every details matters. That's why it takes so long to train it. I mean, just give you an example. I'm doing right now, I trained and I'm close to the Shodan. I did 12 techniques only. 6 sitting, 6 standing. It sounds not a lot, but every technique has so many details. And you have to correct it all the time. So details matter and no deviations allowed, okay? So if you do it, follow me, because that's the spirit. You have to follow the details. That's really the difference. So keep that in mind. If you have questions, ask me. I try to explain as much as I can where details are coming from and why they are there. If I cannot answer it, I cannot answer it. But I try my best. So what I was thinking is, Mugai-ryū has basically 4 basic cuts, which we need to do first. Probably we do 2 today, maybe 2 the next time. So focus on 2 today. There's a makogiri cut, which is basically a vertical cut straight down. There are different names in different schools for this. But in Mugai-ryū they call it Mako-giri. You know, giri, kiri, you know, it's cut. Mako is like vertical cut. This is a straight on cut, and then there's a sideways cut, which is yoku-ichimonji. I think you had a similar name, Mr. Mopros.
Yeah, we usually say yoku-giri to shorten it, yoku-ichimonji, or suihei-giri sometimes.
So that's the sideways cut, yoku-ichimonji, that's the two we do today. And then there are two more which are important. There's kesagiri, which is basically from the top on an angle, a 30-degree angle. There's kyaku kesagiri, which is from below, and basically have a cut from below 45-degree diagonal over the lapel. And there's, of course, a step. It's not a real cut, but there are steps as well. And then I will show what's called kihon in Mugai-ryū. Kihon means basic fundamental exercise. There are three in total: kihon-ichi, kihon-ni, kihon-san. Kihon-ichi, kihon-ni you usually do at the beginner level. Kihon-san you get just before the showdown, so a recent cut. And what's important in that, these basic exercises flow into the techniques later on, which you will see in the kata. So once you do your kihon, you do them pretty well, that helps you a lot to execute the katas. That's the whole context. That's why they do them first before you go into kata. So we'll do kihon-ichi today, which is basically using these two cuts. It's using first a yoku-ichimonji cut and then a mako-giri cut. That's why it fits nicely together, and it leads us to some of the katas. Kihon-ichi. And then next time, I said I do the other two cuts, and we do kihon-di, which includes a kyaku kesagiri, together with the mako-giri. And then once we have that fundamental set up, then we do two techniques, one each week. So we do only one technique per hour, because you have to go through the details. The one is a sitting technique, it's called shin, which means like tooth, real. And then the other one is munaskushi, which basically means stepping the chest, which is a standing one. So these are the two I will show. And it's usually also the 2 out of 3 which you get before you make your first student ranking, which would be Sankyu. So in Mugai-ryū, in our school, they have Sankyu, Nikkyu, Ikkyu, and then you get Shodan.
When you're doing that cut, is the reason it's 30 degrees because of the more velocity of a drop cut rather than the 45?
No, really, it depends where you want to cut, right? Because Mako-giri goes straight to the head, right?
Okay.
It's a vertical head cut down, which we also do here in the dojo, right? It's just a different name. The kesagiri is thought to cut right here.
Oh.
Basically across the chest on your lapel from the neck downwards, that would be the kesagiri cut. So it's just the angle you want to cut, basically, where you want to cut at the end of the day. Like the yoku-ichimonji would be a sideways cut that would go across here. Usually you use basically, you want to cut here on chest height, but the cut is really on the chest level. That's what yoku-ichimonji is. And kyaku kesagiri comes from below. It's a 45-degree cut from below, like, again across the chest. That's the idea.
And then obviously not wearing yoroi. This is an Edo period.
That's not yoroi.
Soft clothing.
It's an Edo period technique, so don't think about yoroi on armors and stuff. That's not the intent. The school was founded in 1693. That's after the warring periods in Japan. There was no war anymore where they used yoroi. It was all so yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Oh yeah. The reason also why, by the way, in all the modern school, why is the blade always up? So all the Iaido you see, the blade is up, right? It's not down, it's up. People argue about that. I mean, the biggest reason I was reading or what I heard is it's a quicker cut. So when the blade is up, a fraction of seconds you're quicker and you would draw from below. That's the real reason why they wear it up. When you look at the old tachi, which Mr. Nokros was showing a couple of times, the real big swords from the horse or even in the battlefield, they were all down. Blade was down. You can see it also in the ukiyo-e. You can see that the old swords all down, the new ones, the new techniques are all up there. What we will do is always blade up, so just keep that in mind. The hilt or the handle is called tsuka. So that's important to remember, that's tsuka. This one is tsuba here, the collar, and this end, the pommel, would be the kashira. And then the tip, which you always hear me talking about when I show kihon-ichi, kihon-ni, when I always talk kisaki all the time. This is the point of the blade here, the edge of the blade. That's the kisaki. That's ha here. Mune would be the other side. The other important one is that's the saya here, which you all know probably. Important is the sagio as well. And I show that it's important for the tori, which is the sword ceremony, which I will show. You don't have to follow me on the tori. If someone wants to learn it, I'm happy to show it, but I just show it because all the time when you begin your training, you do the tori first and then you start the training. And same thing when you finish the training, you do a tori, again the reverse tori, and then finish it up. That's etiquette. The other thing is, if you want to get a Iaido blade for yourself, it would be a wise way to personalize it in length and in handle length and blade length for you. So in our school, our sensei has kind of a small little video what to measure on your body dimensions to calculate what's the best sword length for you. And that's what I did, right? So my initial sword was too long, the handle was too long, and I had a problem to draw the sword. And the reason was just too long. And it depends on the school, that's the thing, because Mugai-ryū has a certain way how you draw the sword. Other schools have a different way how to draw the sword. So hence, the sword length is often tailored as well to a point to the school. It's not only body dimensions, but part of it is what school you train in. So for Mugai-ryū, we have a way how to measure that. That's how I got it. I got a customized sword from Japan on this, the Iaido, about $800 or so. Not terrible, but still pricey. But it's worthwhile if you want to really seriously train on that, because you want to have a sword which has the right dimensions, so it fits to your body, it fits to the school. The right weight for you as well, right? The heavier weights, lighter weights, you can pick all of that, which is important. The other thing which is really important, how you hold the sword. And you will see that in the cuts, and it's often a mistake people make. I mean, you know kind of from the school from Mr. Melkos how to hold the sword, I think. That's holding the sword. You don't want to be too close to the collar. You don't want to be too far down with the other hand either. So be an inch away here. Same thing here. That's how you hold the sword here. And the important one is when you do the cuts, never change the direction how you hold the sword. Never ever. Because what sometimes people do, they make the cut, they go down, they overstretch, like they overextend the arm. They end up that the way the sword is too low, it bounces kind of bad, dame, like the Japanese say, right? Keep always, the grip is always like this, it never changes when you cut. Start position, end position, it's the same grip. Control yourself on that one, that's really important. It's often a mistake, people overstretch, they change somewhere the sword position, the hand position on the sword, that's a bad thing. That just leads to not a clean cut at the end of the day. So important in Mugai-ryū again, it's etiquette and prettiness. When you have the sake on your head and you do the tori, that's how you hold it over the finger, it should be a third of the length. And it should fit. Short zoom move. Go down, bring the sword, hand over the sakeo. To the knee. You shouldn't look when you do that. Not around the sword. Our school is not doing that, which many schools do. We just keep it like this. Sakeo is just thrown over the sword with the saya. Nothing fancy, no knots. You're here. Cat foot, as my teacher always says, when you stand up. Go to cat foot, push yourself up. Here we go. That's tori. And then there's a reverse tori, which I'll show at the end.
Can you explain the cat foot? What were you doing there? I couldn't see.
And I'm sitting down. It's basically how you stand up, right? So you're sitting there. Always secure the sword with your left thumb. Go ahead with the right foot. Now it's not flat or something, cat foot. You stand on the front with your foot and push yourself up on this.
Mr. Hilpert, so when you're standing up, you're not standing and then bringing your back foot to your front, you're pushing yourself back to where your back foot is?
Yeah, in this case, I stand up like this and the right foot goes backwards.
Okay.
You will see in the kihon it's sometimes different. I go with the left foot forward, depends on the technique or the kihon I'm showing. But in this case, yeah, right foot front and then back. Good. Okay, Mapigiri. So maybe you go to the back side, I show it.
Yes, sir.
And then when you do it, please space out. I don't want to have any injuries here.
Yes, sir.
While it's a dull sword, you can poke yourself with a kisaki at least. I did it.